Hi, welcome to another edition of Hal's Hippie Homebrew. You're here once again with Hal and Alicia, my lovely assistant. It's going to be a team effort today. We're going to make a very special dish called Locro de Zapallo, which basically is like a stew made of squash. It's a Peruvian dish, and so we got the recipe from yanuk.com. I'll put the spelling of that on the captions and probably in the comments. Yanuk is a great site to get Peruvian recipes. It's where Peruvians go to get recipes if they don't have a recipe for a particular thing. So we just had to veganize it because it has milk and cheese in it, and we'll show you how we kind of deal with that. So the first thing you're going to need is your squash. I already washed it. You want a sharp knife, and you want to be careful. You cut it in half. This is kind of the grown-up portion. I usually cut the stem out of here. And then you'll need a spoon. And yeah, you'll want to carve these out just like carving a pumpkin. I always save the seeds because it's like a little pro tip. You can toast pretty much all squash seeds, at least winter squash. So if you like toasted pumpkin seeds, you will like toasted acorn squash seeds as well.
If you oil it and salt it and you toast it, it's delicious.
Yeah, just so, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but just you know, you just kind of pick them out of there, and the membrane or whatever that is, you try and get them off of that. You basically just pop them off, and yeah, really just a little bit of olive oil, and cook it very slow. You're talking like a 2 or a 3 on an electric stove. Cook it low and slow, and then sprinkle with a little bit of salt, and you've got a great snack. So these are ready to pop in the oven. We do 375 degrees, that's Fahrenheit, and we put them on there for about 40 minutes. Now I'm going to set these aside because we did cook some ahead of time. They come out looking like this. You should be able to stab it with a fork. If you can just stab a fork right in there, it's done. So we can pull that out. So next, what we're going to need to do, I think it's going to be Alicia doing this. It's basically 3 potatoes. Looks like we didn't dice this one all the way. 3 potatoes diced, and you want to cook that on some oil. So not even really diced, just cubed, I should say. So 3 potatoes, and then we've got the special magic ingredient is called ají amarillo, which is, it just means like yellow chili pepper. It's a special kind of yellowish pepper that they grow in Peru. You can get the version in a jar. You can get it on Amazon or Latin markets. So it looks like this. There's a bunch of different brands out there, but it's just a paste is what it's going to be like in a jar. So we need some of that, and then we're going to need some oregano.
Yes. 2 to 3 teaspoons of it.
So let's cut to that.
So first, we're going to put some oil in there. So let's do that. And now we're going to put 3 tablespoons of oregano in there. So we're just gonna take off this lift to pour thing. So now we're going to stir it. I'm gonna mix all that yummy oregano with this olive oil.
All right.
Okay, and now we're going to put some ají amarillo in there. Chili pepper, about the same amount.
Okay, so yeah, stir that up really well. Getting a little ají amarillo there.
No, like, yeah.
Alright, so right now we have the potatoes and the ají amarillo and the oil and the oregano, and they're in the pot behind us. They're doing their thing. They're cooking kind of a low to medium, just getting yummy, and the potatoes have to cook for a bit. So while we're waiting on that, what we're going to do is Alicia's going to show you, we're going to add some peas and corn. Fresh if you can get it fresh. We can't get fresh peas right now in the middle of winter.
Okay.
So we're going to mix the peas, the corn, some almond milk here,
And some
and,
coconut.
and some coconut yogurt. This is kind of how we veganize the recipe. You need some milky substance, so we use our almond milk. And then it also calls for fresh cheese. So instead of that, I use the coconut yogurt, and that kind of gives it a little bit of a cheesy flavor. Okay, so right now we cooked our squash ahead of time, and we still have our potatoes cooking. Alicia got the almond milk, peas, and corn ready with the little coconut yogurt in there to make it kind of cheesy. So I'm still using a little bit of thyme here. I love olives.
I know, right? They're so delicious.
Olives go great with this dish. So you're supposed to take at least maybe 4 or 5 of them and slice them in half, the long way I think. And you want to throw them in the stew toward the end. So I'm going to go ahead and use this time and cut up some olives.
Also, one tip. Don't just use 5 olives.
Yeah, the more the merrier. Potatoes cooking. This is going to go in next once the potato is like almost cooked. This will go in, and then this will be at the very end. So I'm going to put my olives in there. Maybe like, I don't know, at least a healthy tablespoon of salt. There's going to be a lot of squash in here, potato, and you know, it's in creamy almond milk. It's going to need a little bit of salt. And then pepper to taste, just regular ground black pepper. I grind it myself here at the house.
However much you want. If you have a taste for spicy, use as much as you want.
By all means. So this is going to be kind of like the very last thing that I put in the last maybe 5 or 3 minutes or so. I'll put that in at the very end. So I'm going to check on the potatoes. Okay, and I think that's almost ready. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there. Okay, so the locro is coming back up the temperature since we put the almond milk in. We're waiting for that to come up to a simmer. We want the potatoes to finish cooking, and we want the peas to cook a little bit, and the corn, and the almond milk should get kind of creamy in there. We want everything to just get nice and happy. We want the flavors to marry. So while we're waiting on that, we got one last thing to do with the squash. We already cooked it, but we do want to kind of get the peel off of it. And so there's multiple ways you can do it. If you don't really have a peeler, it's possible to do this with a knife if you're careful. And you know, you can kind of rough it here. And oftentimes I will grab the peeler and it'll help. And in the little grooves down here, you can use the pointy end of the peeler and just kind of dig that out. So hopefully your squash is kind of mushy like this. That's why I said 375 at 40. For a lot of recipes, you want your acorn squash to be a little bit al dente. This is not one of those recipes. You definitely want your squash to be fully cooked.
Just wait a couple seconds. Get a wash.
So the moment of truth arrives and we're ready to serve. You can eat locro plain. We have made some quinoa and we're gonna go ahead and serve it over the quinoa.
So we're just gonna take a nice big scoop. We're going to put it on top, and I love to get the juicy part, like the saucy part, like this part, a lot, because when it soaks in with the quinoa, it makes heaven.
Okay. Yummy. Just gonna just wait for that to cool and then serve. Low and slow. Low and slow.